What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Take 3 podcast. My name is Brandon. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Alex, and we're here on a Thursday afternoon once again, just a couple hours from the undefeated Cardinals putting their undefeated record on the line against a beat-up 6-1 Green Bay Packers team. Only beat up the wide receiving corps, badly beaten up. Obviously, Devontae Adams didn't make the trip. Alan Lazard did not, and I believe Marquez Valdez-Scantling was ruled out this morning as well. So, I mean, they're going with a skeleton crew heading out to the desert where skeletons are often buried. So, I mean, we'll see if Kyler Murray can kind of get his thing going and push them to 8-0. It kind of puts a damper on the game in my eyes. It's kind of on paper. Last week, I was super hyped. I was like, Thursday Night Football, like we get this dope matchup. We'll really find out if the Cardinals are actually like a team, and then we'll find out, hey, if the Packers, if they're the guy. But battle with the Bucs and the Rams. But yeah, obviously we don't get that. Going into Sunday slate, I mean, it's not really a great slate. You get kind of on paper some classic matchups. Obviously the Steelers play the Browns, but obviously Big Ben's not really the same. I expect a low scoring, beat 'em up defensive game, if I'm being honest. I believe Nick Chubb's back for the Browns. So, I mean, I would expect heavy Nick Chubb usage if he's there. And then you look down the other slate. I mean, it's Tennessee, Indianapolis. That's an interesting one. Indy kind of has to keep winning to keep their season really alive, coming off a big Sunday night win. What kind of momentum will they bring into a big divisional matchup with Tennessee? And how will Tennessee look going on the road? And then we also got Tampa Bay, Tom Brady meeting up with the new Jameis Winston New Orleans Saints. That's a late game on Sunday. I was about to say Saturday, late game on Sunday. So that'll be an interesting one to talk about, to see how there's kind of contrasting styles of how this game could go. And maybe if we'll see a different Saints team that we really haven't seen through 7 games. Other than that, I mean, obviously standard Dallas plays Minnesota, and then we get the Chiefs. If you'd hope they get on track Monday night. But I mean, on the outside of things, before we really jump into any of the specific games that we're going to cover, how you feeling going into week 8, big week 7 on the spreads? But I mean, this schedule is not the greatest schedule on paper.
Yeah, not a fantastic weekend looking ahead, but there's some good matchups. Looking at the spreads is a little tricky. I feel like we're going to see a lot of the favorites win this weekend. Not a ton of upsets, but there are some interesting ones that we're going to get into and we're going to talk about.
Yeah, there's games that kind of try to send you one way, and then you really have you sitting there. I don't know. I was going through, and I kind of went through it just to not have myself second guessing. Obviously, before we went on, caught a clear mistake that would have altered one of my picks, but we won't really mention that. But I mean, yeah, let's get into Thursday Night Football. Tonight's game, Aaron Rodgers. So there's still football to be played. It's Aaron Rodgers and the 6-1 Packers will go on the road into the desert to play the only undefeated team left in the NFL, Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. I believe, obviously, we know J.J. Watt's out. I mentioned all the wide receivers out for Green Bay. So it's really going to be like, can Zadarius Smith and Rashawn Gary attack and kind of contain Kyler Murray and slow down that offense? I believe DeAndre Hopkins was banged up a little bit this week, but he's expected to go, I think I read. So, I mean, they should have a full complement of weapons besides missing J.J. Watt on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, on paper, it was interesting last week, as I mentioned, but this now rolling in, you kind of got to throw every bit of information and stats that you brought from the previous 5-6 weeks and kind of toss it out, because we don't know what Aaron Rodgers and that Packers offense is really going to look like. We know that he's comfortable with Randall Cobb, but I mean, how much in 2021 do you want Randall Cobb to be your number one wide receiver going on to face the only undefeated team left in the league on the road? So, I mean, how are you feeling going into this Thursday night matchup?
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this. The line opened up, I believe, was Packers plus 4.5, which I really liked Green Bay there, because Green Bay by a field goal, a healthy Green Bay, I think is really interesting. They can still cover. I mean, it's still Aaron Rodgers, still have Aaron Jones. He'll spread the ball enough around on offense, but can the defense get the job done? Even if they were healthy, that was going to be a question heading in, just because of how lethal Kyler Murray and this Cardinals offense has been. But now that we have the depleted wide receiver core, and not having Devontae Adams makes a world of difference for this Green Bay offense. He is so productive. I just think Green Bay is going to struggle scoring enough points, and I like Arizona and taking him to cover the spread by the touchdown in this game. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals has just been impressive. Every week I thought oh, well, maybe they're going to fall apart, or maybe I feel like we're all just waiting on the Cardinals to fall apart, but they haven't done it. They've shown week in and week out they look good. They beat up on the Rams, they beat up on the Niners, they beat up on some good teams now. So it's like, I've been very impressed with them. I think they're going to keep the ball rolling against a Green Bay team that's going to, I think, hurt to find some offense. And I really like the Cardinals. I think they'll cover. And it's just, betting against Aaron Rodgers is always nerve wracking, right? Because I wouldn't be surprised if he goes out there and just gets it done somehow or keeps it like competitive and they lose by like a field goal. But it'll be interesting to find out.
Yeah, I'm worrisome as well. I don't know what a skeleton crew of weapons, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. I mean, we've seen in the past that it seems like Aaron Rodgers, time and time again, it works, right? Go back to old reliable Devontae Adams. He's so good, and we've seen kind of Matt LaFleur be hesitant. We saw him, I guess, one time this year, let Aaron Jones really take over and do his thing on offense. But through the Matt LaFleur tenure, it really hasn't been his thing. It might be something that he has to roll with tonight, right? Like Aaron Jones is probably the best weapon outside of Aaron Rodgers left on that offense. And then it's also a banged up Packers defense going on the road. I mean, when it opened up, I'm with you as well. If I knew like if Devontae Adams and them guys were going to be there, I would probably have rolled, Packers 4.5 pretty easy. Could have honestly seen this been the week that the Cardinals go down, but I just don't think there's going to be enough on the offensive side of the ball. Just a couple tidbits with Aaron Rodgers himself. He's 0-4 against an undefeated team in week 8 or later in his career. So, I mean, this kind of all the injuries going around doesn't really help. Well, not even really injuries. COVID's not really an injury, I guess. Devontae Adams didn't hurt. He just has obviously has the virus keeps him out. And then Aaron Rodgers has also lost his last 10 road starts versus a top 5 defense entering that week. So Arizona is sitting at 4th in total defense. I mean, that's another set that's kind of saying, hey, the Cardinals, their defense, even without JJ Watt, should be able to do enough. I just think the Cardinals will have enough. They'll score enough points. I don't think the Packers defense will have enough to slow down Kyler. He's kind of played smart this year, kind of done his thing. And I don't know. I can't sit here right now and bank on a smooth sailing Packers offense, even with Aaron Rodgers out there. But I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow Aaron Rodgers has Amari Rodgers looking like he's a god and Randall Cobb somehow catching 8 balls for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And who else is out there? Tanyan's still out there. So I could say expect the unexpected, but I'm expecting the Cardinals to kind of hold pat with everything that has transpired this past week.
Yeah, it's like all things are kind of leaning against Green Bay. And not to mention, even if both teams are healthy, there's a chance, like JJ Watt's been saying, maybe they're just better because Arizona's undefeated for a reason. They've looked so good. There's even a chance that like they would have just beat Green Bay by a touchdown anyway when they're all healthy. So it's like it's really hard to side with Green Bay when they're depleted and Arizona's just rolling.
Yeah, that's facts. I don't know. They do say sometimes that the hardest fights to win are the ones that everybody expect you to win. So I mean, hey, we'll see. We'll see in a couple hours from now what Aaron Rodgers has in store for us. But let's keep the ball rolling. We move on. We got an AFC South division battle is kind of one of the few games that kind of stood out as worthy of really kind of breaking down. Talking about, we got Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry in that offense. Obviously, they're 5-2. They're looking good. They just beat the hell out of the Chiefs. They've kind of been beaten up on everybody. They really put it together after getting beat up by the Cardinals week 1, right? Week 1, we're like, damn, dude, like Tennessee, we were kind of both up on them going into the season. And then we're just like, are they not it? And then they've kind of put it together. And then Carson Wentz and the Colts, right? They kind of looked like crap too coming out the gates. Wentz got hurt. He was kind of tentative. He kind of showed signs of what he was in Philly. It didn't bode well, but then you look at him the past 4 weeks and he looks like 2017 MVP Carson Wentz. He's slinging the ball confidently, making smart decisions, getting out of the pocket when he needs to get out of the pocket. And the Colts have kind of put their season back together, sitting at 3-4. It's kind of that similar spot where Kansas City was last week. It's a must win for the Colts, in my opinion. They're at home, coming off a big Sunday night win on the road. They can't afford to get swept by the Titans while they're chasing the Titans, right? So it's the Colts kind of have their work cut out for them, but they're trending upwards. So I think it turns out to be a pretty solid matchup with two teams that are really starting to play some of their best football going into week 8. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, this is easily one of the best games of the weekend. When this game opened up, I believe it was Indianapolis plus 1.5 or 2.5 at home. And I really liked that. And then since the week has gone on, the line has shifted all the way to Indianapolis -1.5. They are now the favorite at home, and Tennessee +1.5. I originally, when the game opened, I was leaning Indianapolis. They are trending in the right direction coming off the Sunday night win, like you said, and they're starting to look good. And it's hard to beat a team twice. Tennessee already beat them. They're division rivals. I expect a close matchup, but seeing all the money go towards Indianapolis, the line shift just made me kind of favor Tennessee on the road, just kind of fading the public there. I thought it was good money with Indianapolis in the points, but I've kind of shifted my way towards Tennessee because to me, this feels very coin flippy. Tennessee's coming off 2 big wins. They're going into Indianapolis. Indianapolis is trending upwards. I think it's going to be a division game. Indianapolis has very good linebackers to help against Derrick Henry to slow him down to the best of the ability that you can slow down Derrick Henry. So I think it's going to be a close game, coin flip game, and I'm simply going to side with the Titans because I think they're a slightly better team, and that I'm going to fade the public here. I like the Colts to open. I think a lot of people are kind of high on the Colts. They had the Sunday night win. They're starting to look better. They're starting to put it together. I think people are starting to believe in Indianapolis. So I'm going to simply just kind of fade the public and lean towards the Titans in a game that I think is going to come down to the end. I think it's going to be very close because I wouldn't be surprised at all if Indianapolis has the ability to slow down Derrick Henry and the Titans are forced to rely on Tannehill more with A.J. Brown.
Yeah, it's literally like the ultimate coin flip game. Looking at just NFL.com, they have it literally, the Colts have a 52% chance of winning, so it's like it's that close. It's like razor thin, and I mean the line is it's pretty spot on. It's, in my eyes, it's what quarterback can not force a throw, not turn the rock over, and just stick to the game plan and keep the ball rolling. We know what Tennessee wants to do. They're going to want to pound the rock with Derrick Henry. Obviously, division game might be a little bit scrappier, a little harder to do. You're not facing the Chiefs again. You're not going to be able to just beat up on them and do your thing. And then we know what the Colts like to do. They like to get their tight ends rolling, Michael Pittman down the field, and get Jonathan Taylor out there either in the pass game, get him running. Jonathan Taylor's been pretty solid. And yeah, I mean, everything's trending up. I'm rolling with the Colts, just home field. It's one of those weird games where both teams are kind of coming off of, I would say, a semi big win. Obviously, the Colts went on the road in San Fran, got a dub, and then you got what the Titans did last week to the Chiefs. So it's like both squads are riding the momentum. I'm just going with the Colts just off of a home field, but I sure as hell, I expect, I don't know, 1 or 2 point game. I think the 1.5 is like it's right spot on. That's how close this is. It's weird for you look at a 5-2 squad facing a 3-4 team to be this razor thin, but I mean that's just what it is. I think it comes down to whatever quarterback doesn't turn the rock over.
That, and I think the Colts defensively match up pretty well with Tennessee because they want to run the ball and do the play action pass, and Darius Leonard and the boys are pretty good at coverage. So I think they just match up well. It's going to be close. I'm just going to lean Tennessee simply because I think the public is on Indianapolis here.
Yep, facts. And just tidbit, Jonathan Taylor in 2 games hasn't scored a touchdown against Tennessee, so he'll look to break that streak going into Sunday. Should be a good one in Indy. I expect that'll probably be one that I keep a close eye on throughout the early games. Just moving forward, as I said, not really a loaded slate as far as matchups, but I mean, when you move into this one, it's kind of a super, anytime Tom Brady's taking the field, anytime you got Tom Brady leading his squad on the road, and then you got Jameis Winston, who he somehow, I mean, as we mentioned before in previous podcasts and even the recap last week, Jameis Winston and the Saints, they haven't really looked like amazing by any stretch, but they keep finding ways to pull out W's. And if they're able to pull out a W over Tom Brady at home in the Superdome, I mean, that would really catapult their confidence and kind of build it up. And then, I mean, we know what Tom Brady's been able to do. He's just airing the rock out, 600 touchdown pass as of last week. Their offense kind of got everything rolling again since that tough Rams game where they lost. It's just a super interesting game when you look at the style that the Saints have played all year, and then you look at what the Bucs offense is able to do and kind of put points up real quick. If they're able to go up 14 or 17-0, is Sean Payton going to be able to play that conservative and try to hand the rock off 20, 25 times a game to Alvin Kamara? You're going to, at some point, if this game kind of goes sideways, you're going to have to lean on Jameis to throw you back into the game. And I don't know if Sean Payton's really comfortable with that. He might have to do it anyway, right? It really doesn't matter if you're down by that much. You're kind of going to have to get comfortable and do that. So, I mean, what do you see rolling into this? I see that this game, it could either be close or the Bucs could jump on them and they could really make it ugly pretty fast.
Yeah, this is an interesting division game. On paper, the Bucs should definitely win the game. The Saints are plus 5.5 dogs at home, so being at home should definitely help. To me, the question is, can they like take advantage of Tampa Bay's secondary? You already said Sean Payton loves to do the conservative game plan and run the ball a lot. Well, that's not exactly a great game plan against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even Dallas knew that week one, we saw not a lot of runs, a lot of passing. I think that the way to attack this Tampa Bay defense is not on the ground, it's through the air. So they're going to need Jameis to be successful if they're going to have a chance. I honestly believe the Bucs win this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if they cover the spread at all. I took the Saints because if you listen to this podcast, you know I've been on Jameis and the Saints, so I'm taking them. I'm hoping they can play really well this week. I'm taking them to cover the spread, and I hope they can get the upset at home. Definitely helps that they're at home, but the other interesting part to me is Tampa Bay's offense. Marshawn Lattimore, for some reason, has had extreme success against Mike Evans in the past, which is weird because Mike Evans is such an elite receiver. And Antonio Brown is doubtful for this game. So if they don't have Antonio Brown, then you're looking at Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, which can beat anybody. But if Marshawn Lattimore does what he does in the past, he should be able to slow down Mike Evans at the very least. And you're not stopping this offense at all. There's no chance you're stopping the Bucs, but they have a really good chance to slow them down because that's a good defensive unit. So I think it's actually going to be a fairly competitive game. I'm just hoping Jameis and the Saints can score enough points offensively, and Sean Payton's going to have to. I think he's going to have faith in Jameis and actually air it out this game if they want to win. They're not going to be able to win this football game just running the ball with Kamara 30 times. They're going to have to win through the air.
Yeah, they're just gonna have to get creative when you think. I don't even think, yeah, just run it. I mean, use Alvin Kamara in the screen game, get him out into the flats, just let him make plays. Don't run it. I mean, we saw what the Cowboys did week one. They kind of spread it out, hit the screen passes, used creativity on offense to really spread the Bucks out. And then, yeah, we know how bad the Bucks secondary has been, very beat up. The unit, yeah, it hasn't gotten any better. And then when you look on the other side of the ball with the Saints defense, it's interesting to look at Tom Brady. It was in 2020 in the regular season, 0-2 against the Saints, 224 passing yards per game, 2 touchdowns, 5 picks, and then he went 17-4 against everybody else with 59 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So as you mentioned, to Marcus Lattimore being able to lock up Mike Evans, that defense as a whole during the regular season at least has been able to give Tom Brady some issues as he made the transition down to Tampa. So, I mean, I think you could look at that either. That's probably a smart game plan for the Saints and Sean Payton is to use the screen game and get Alvin Kamara into space and let him do what he's best at doing rather than running straight. You don't want to run straight into Vita Vea. There's just no point. You're not going to get anything going there. And yeah, it's going to allow for easy work. Yeah, I don't know. There's no other way. I mean, I could see it being a close game. I could see it being a runaway. But I think they will lean on the defense to kind of force Tom Brady's hand, maybe force an interception out of him, force a fumble, try to do something to throw their rhythm off. I don't really expect Sean Payton to kind of go away from it and say, hey, Jameis, start gunning the ball downfield. I don't think they have the guys that they'll be willing to go down the field with. If Michael Thomas was there, maybe they'd be willing to take some more shots. But I would expect if I was game planning some Alvin Kamara screen game and let him do his thing.
I believe Michael Thomas has a chance to play this Sunday. He's not ruled out yet. And then the only other thing is with this game, there's the fun little narrative story part of course, because Jameis didn't start last year. This is going to be his first time actually starting for New Orleans and playing against the Bucs and Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, who replaced him. So there's always that extra fun little motivation factor there too.
100%. Yeah, maybe he'll want to come out and say, screw you, Bruce Arians, and ball out. Yeah, he would be battling against history, though. Since 2010, former number one overall quarterbacks are 1-6 in their first start against the team that drafted them. So for rolling with history, history says he's not going to get it done. But hey, this Saints team's kind of been anything but what we've thought. They're just able to find a way to get it done. They're going to need pressure out of the defense, get on Tom Brady, blanket these receivers, and just find a way to create points, as you said, score enough points, because we know what Tom Brady, when he gets comfortable and kind of makes those halftime adjustments, can do in their own offense. Should be a close one, 4.5. I went with the Bucs. I just think they'll have enough, and Sean Payton not truly trusting Jameis at times. If the game goes sideways, if it's a 14-0 off the rip, the Saints could be in big trouble because that kind of alters how you're going to call plays. You can't really protect Jameis at that point. You got to say, hey, it's time to go out and get rolling. But
I think the Bucs side is the smarter bet here. I'm just rolling with the Saints because I've been rolling with the Saints.
Facts. Yeah. The Saints, they're just such an odd team. I would say they're such an odd team, but hey, they're 4-2. So if they somehow somehow get to 5-2, the story gets even better. And I think that'd be 3 straight wins against Tom Brady in the regular season. They would really, like, Sean Payton would maybe be considered a god of coaching if he's able to beat Tom Brady 3 times in a row. I think the Saints were the first team to even beat Tom Brady twice in a single regular season. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, let's keep the ball rolling. Sunday night football, Cowboys fresh off the bye week. Maybe their defense doesn't have the same juju coming off the bye week. They're going to Minnesota to face Kirk Cousins. The Vikings are they're a weird team too. They lose a lot of like one score games, one possession games. They're a 3-3 team right now that could easily be. They could be 4-2 or 5-1 if a couple things go their way. If their field goal kicker can make a field goal, we wouldn't have any undefeated teams in the league right now. But we've seen like that just seems to be like Kirk Cousins. Any team that Kirk Cousins is a part of, right? Like he plays so well, and then they still somehow either defense gets blown up or special teams doesn't get the job done. But I mean, he's played pretty good football this year, and I wouldn't really expect it to change. Obviously, Justin Jefferson, he's been rolling with him. Mike McCarthy's 10-4 coming off a bye week. Mike Zimmer is 3-4 coming off a bye. So history would say, I mean, the only thing that makes this super interesting to me is the Dak Prescott calf thing. I think it's more of an issue that the more I've kind of followed this week, and the line even like says it, the way how tight it is, and the money line especially, it's almost down to basically a pick'em game, because he's beat up, like the calf injury. We've seen it even in basketball. James Harden, just guys that try to I guess plan off of that, right? He's not going to be as mobile, I don't think. So I think it's super interesting to watch. Obviously he'll probably be able to sling it, but how much zip is he going to have? And yeah, Kirk Cousins, I mean, we've seen what he done. I'm interested to see if Dallas's defense can force another 6 turnovers. Like they seem to force, they seem to force turnovers every week. And will Trayvon Diggs get another interception? I think that's another thing to watch. Man's been on a roll. He's got 7 through 6 games. It'd be insane if he's able to get another one. So, I mean, what do you see going into a Sunday night football? I believe the line is Cowboys -1.5 right now. Super narrow.
Yeah, obviously the big question mark is Dak Prescott and that calf. I'm going to go ahead and assume that he plays and he's healthy enough to be effective when he's out there. The news from the Cowboys camp right now is they are under the assumption that Dak's going to be ready to go, but there is a chance he's not. But I'm gonna evaluate this game under the assumption that he's good to go and he's going to be effective. I think this is going to be a really fun game for like fantasy. I think with all the skill position players between Zeke and Cook and Jefferson and Lamb and Cooper, I think there's definitely some fun fantasy points and props to be had for this game. As for the actual outcome in football, I think Minnesota has like an identity issue on offense. Some games they want to be pound the rock with Dalvin Cook. Other games they want to air it out with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. And that's even with games when Dalvin Cook's healthy and he's there. We even saw a game this year where they aired it out, were really efficient in the first half, and then they just tried to pound the rock and didn't go anywhere the whole second half. And they weren't nearly as efficient at all, and they almost blew the game. So to me, Minnesota's offense has identity issues. They don't know what they really want to do. I'm sure Zimmer still wants to run the ball and be efficient. I think Kirk Cousins and them, the offensive coordinator, they want to air it out more. So I just don't know what to expect from this Minnesota team. They're very capable of putting up a lot of points. This Dallas defense has been very impressive, but I don't know. I just have to lean with Dallas. They've been so good. I think they get the job done. If Dak was healthy, I think it'd be more than just a 1.5 point spread. So I think if like picking the spread wise, if you feel confident in one of these teams, it's a really good spread to pick. I know Dallas's offense is going to be able to attack Minnesota's defense pretty damn well. So to me, it's about Minnesota's offense and Dallas's defense. And I'm going to favor Dallas just because I feel like Minnesota just kind of like steps on their own foot. They get in their way. They will be really efficient at something and they'll switch it up and do something else, which seems asinine to me. I just think Minnesota doesn't have it quite figured out yet. And Dallas has been rolling. They're coming off a bye week. As long as Dak feels good, I think they roll.
Yeah, Minnesota, they're sure as hell good at finding ways to lose, but I think they're trending upwards. And the Dak Prescott, I'm kind of the opposite. Like I'm rolling Minnesota. I've heard that everything needs to be ideal for Dak to play this week. I've heard Dak say himself, if it was a playoff game, I'd for sure be playing. So that's kind of like well, this definitely isn't a playoff game. It's a regular season game. Will he just sit out as a precaution? I mean, it's a long season, added game. Is there any reason really to risk him in week 8 and just maybe hey, let this thing blow over for another week and get him fully ready? Vikings defense, kind of they're trending upwards through weeks 1 through 3. They've allowed 26 points a game. They were able through the past 3 weeks to shave 6 points off. They're allowing 100 less yards. They're allowing 400 yards per game through their first 3, and now they've cut that down to 300. And the big one, opponents' passer ratings, 119.6 passer rating against them through weeks 1 through 3, and they've shaved that nearly in half, more than half, actually right on the spot of half there. It's 59.6 opponent passer rating. So they're able to kind of get at quarterbacks now. They've kind of figured out a little bit on defense. Obviously, we know how good the Cowboys offense is. They've scored 35 plus in 4 straight games. Yeah, they're doing their thing. I just think with a healthy Dak Prescott, I'm spot on. If it was a fully healthy Dak Prescott and the good to go, yeah, I'd probably be rolling the Cowboys without a doubt. Their defense has kind of not been great, but they find a way to force turnovers. I just don't think. I believe a stat I saw. Yeah, here it is. The Vikings have sacked opponents on 9.3% of dropbacks this season, which is the highest rate in the NFL. So I just think they'll be able to do enough, and I'm going to kind of trust Kirk Cousins. I mean, for 1 week in my life, I don't think I've ever said I'm just going to trust Kirk Cousins, but I think this week, yeah, I'm just going to trust Kirk Cousins. He's healthier, and we've seen if Dak can't move, like if the calf injury is that bad and he can't move, and we're seeing how the Vikings are able to get after quarterbacks this year, I think it'll be a long day. I don't know if Mike McCarthy is really going to want to adjust into, yeah, we're going to run it heavy with Zeke and Tony Pollard. They've been an aired out team. Obviously, they're smart. They know how to get the running game going. But if you can't air it out and get the weapons going with Dak Prescott, it limits the ability to run the ball because teams are going to know, hey, just stack the box and attack these guys. So I'm interested to see if Dak does go, how mobile he is, because obviously his mobility and being able to get out of the pocket kind of changes places sometimes. Dead plays he can create with his legs. We've seen mobile quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, those guys, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, they're able to do that extra thing. And if you take that out of Dak's game and make him merely a pocket passer, I don't know if I'm going to ride with the Cowboys. So I think the Cowboys run ends, but I'm interested to see if Trayvon Diggs can get another interception to add to the total. I'm kind of rooting for him at this point. It's weird for me to say that as an Eagles fan, but I like seeing history. So let's see another interception happen on a Sunday.
The Trayvon Diggs watch is real. It's been super impressive that he just keeps somehow getting an interception every single game. It's been wild to watch. And I don't think it's crazy anything you said that Minnesota can get it done. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And like we said many, many times, the big question mark is Dak. If Dak's healthy, Dallas, if he even comes in limping, we'll see. But it's a regular season game. So if he plays, I think he's good to go. I don't think they're going to risk it at all, like you said. So if he plays, I think it's all Dallas. I don't think he's going to be like limping around or not super effective. I think if he plays, he's going to be good.
Yeah, it's just tough with the calf injuries in the past. We've seen guys try to force it too soon, and then as quick as it pops into an Achilles, and then you've lost another season. So I don't know. I don't wish that on any player. I would hope that doesn't happen to Dak, because there's certainly a remarkable surprise team this year. Actually, I mean, I had them at 12 wins in the preseason, but I mean, the way they're rolling, you don't want to see another major injury. So it's just something to watch for sure. And then, yeah, I want to see Trayvon Diggs battle with Justin Jefferson. I hope that's the matchup we get Sunday night. And will they hit him with a double move? We know Trayvon Diggs, super aggressive, likes to go with the ball. One double move, man, send Justin Jefferson down the field. A little Alabama LSU battle. That's always fun. Should be close though. Yeah, let's pivot in. Last game of the week, Monday Night Football. We got Daniel Jones coming off his one-handed catch, heading on the road to face the really bad Kansas City Chiefs. There's no way to sugarcoat it. They've been awful this year. Like, I don't know. There's really no other words. We've seen, I mean, they get blanketed. They don't really have a second option if they can't beat teams over the top. Andy Reid doing the classic, not adjusting. And they're just losing games. Patrick Mahomes is throwing interceptions at a career high rate. He's just loading up on the interceptions this year. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I guess in Kansas City's favor, they've never lost 3 straight home games. Started by Patrick Mahomes. They're on the verge, if they lose this week, to lose 3 straight home games. Obviously, they lost week 3 to the Chargers and then to Buffalo. But I mean, they kind of get the perfect opponent, right? Like, they get the New York Giants, the Joe Judge Giants, 2-5. they're kind of a mess within themselves. I mean, they beat up on the Panthers, but the Panthers have kind of been a mess. This seems like one of those weeks where, hey, finally, the Chiefs can get it back together, at least offensively, because I don't expect it to be defensively. Like, I think Daniel Jones will be able to, he'll have his opportunities to do his thing and they'll put up some points, but I just think eventually he'll make a mistake. And I'm going to, once again, I'm buying into the Chiefs saying they're finally going to get it together. And yeah, it's time for the Chiefs. Just another stat on Mahomes. He's only completed 35% of his passes when pressured this season. So that's super interesting from a guy who usually is, when he's under pressure, is able to get out, make plays, and do special things. And he's now down at the bottom with Justin Fields and Zach Wilson, who those are the only two that have lower completion percentages when they're under pressure. So, I mean, what do you see when you look at Arrowhead? I originally thought this game was in New York, which flip-flopped my pick. But now that I found out the correct info and it's at Arrowhead, I like the Chiefs to get everything back on track. I don't think the Giants will play 2 straight competent weeks of football.
Yeah, so this is a perfect get right spot for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, right? They're at home against Joe Judge's New York Giants, who are not a good football team, but it's hard to have confidence in this Kansas City Chiefs squad. I think the offense is going to get it together this week. They're going to look pretty damn good, but I don't think the defense is capable of like really getting it together well. They might look better, but I don't think they'll look good, if that makes sense. I just think the linebacking core is so bad and the Chiefs defense just can't even stop a nosebleed. So I fully expect Mahomes and the offense to get rolling and get it done. I picked them to cover the spread, but the 9.5 is kind of high to me. It just scares me. If this was any other year, they looked better so far, I'd hit the 9.5 with confidence, probably up to 2 touchdowns. But the defense has been just so bad. They got to rely on Mahomes to do everything. I think he'll score enough points. He'll get the offense going. He'll get the job done. I picked them to cover. I'm just worried about them covering because as bad as the Giants are, they'll be able to score points because that Chiefs defense is bad and the Giants have enough weapons offensively. So to me, this is really about like, can the Chiefs cover really? Because I expect them to win. I'd be shocked if they lose, but you never know, right? The defense has been that bad. The offense, I expect to get it going, but can they cover? That's the question to me.
Yeah, I mean, now thinking about it, I kind of regret my Chiefs pick because honestly, looking at the Chiefs again, yeah, in their 3 home games this year, they have not allowed fewer than 29 points. They allow on average 32 points per game at home. And when you're looking at covering a 10-point spread, like, is it going to be, like, what are you going to score? What's going to be 55 or like 45-30? Like, you just going to get an absolute shootout and outgun them and just hope you get a stop somewhere. So like now that I think about it and sit back, I'm like, damn, I should have just rolled with my other pick. But you know what? I'm going to trust their defense for once in my life. I'm going to trust the Honey Badger because I don't really trust anybody else on that defense. Weeks 5 through 7, Daniel Jones he's kind of dropped off. Weeks 1 through 4, his 4 touchdowns and a pick. He's kind of reverted to the old Daniel Jones, touchdown and 3 picks over the past 3 weeks. So he's kind of reverted. I just think it's the perfect week where the Chiefs will get it back on track, kind of find it out. Andy Reid will for once do something that we can consider an adjustment. I just think, I don't know. These guys, can they really keep looking this bad? The team that's been in the Super Bowl the past 2 years, can they keep looking this bad? I mean, I could be coming on next week and saying the same thing. Like, are they going to continue to look this bad? I'm definitely confident. If this is a money lines pick pool, 100%, you could bet my life. Like, I do not see the Chiefs losing to the Giants at home. But now that I think about it, I kind of regret. I maybe should have stuck with the Giants and the points. I mean, come on, Patty. Like, just find a way to get the job done once for me.
The path to covering for the Chiefs is definitely like 42-28, something like that, because it's not going to be through defense. We definitely agree on that.
It's score every drive and force 2 punts or force a punt and I don't know, get a fumble, like find a fumble somewhere. Like Daniel Jones drops the ball. I don't know, find something has to go your way in this season, right? Or I mean, it's super weird. Jabril Peppers, though, he is done for the year on the Giants defensive side, so he that'll kind of leave it more open for the Chiefs to do their thing. But I mean, that's really it. Any other interesting games outside of the ones that we really talked about before we kind of move into the weekly spread picks?
The Pats Chargers are kind of interesting to me, but I don't think in the long run, I don't think the Pats are going to be able to slow down the Chargers enough. I think Herbert and the boys get it done coming off the bye week. And then the other one was the Browns Steelers, but I think Baker should be back for this game. And like I've said many times on this podcast, I don't trust the Steelers offense. So I expect the Browns to be able to cover and get it done as well.
Gotcha. I'm on the other side of that. I'm going Steelers. Beat up Baker hasn't looked good. I don't think he'll come back and really. What does he inject in? Like he doesn't really add anything that Case Keenum didn't really do the following week. And it's just one of those division games. Like I don't know. I just don't trust a beat up quarterback. He falls on that shoulder one more time, bang, it's gone. But yeah, same with New England. Like I think the Chargers cover very easily, win quite easily. A team that scored 54 last week, I'd be surprised if they score 13 on the road this week. It's just kind of that type of the league. And then I mean, you look at the other games, are just catastrophes of football, to be honest.
I got a question for one really bad game.
Yep.
The Houston Texans might have Tyrod Taylor back this week. He actually made him look like a real football team for his first 6 quarters that he actually got to play.
Yep.
Is there any chance they can cover the spread if he plays?
If Tyrod plays, I mean, they hypothetically could. What's it? It's like 14.5, right? I went Rams 14.5 pretty comfortably. Yep. Didn't even think. I'm kind of tired of rolling with these teams in the points. But yeah, I mean, they could very easily, even with Davis Mills, they could. It's like one of those leagues, right? They're at home. LA's gone on the road. Take them as a joke. They just played the bum Lions last week. You play 2 joke teams in a row, and somehow the Texans look like a competent football team and kind of lose by 10 instead of lose by 20. But yeah, I don't know. I rolled with the Rams pretty confidently. I didn't really hear any. I heard Tyrod was getting close, but I didn't hear anything in regards to this week.
As of right now, he's still questionable. They're hoping, but you never know. I don't know. It made me a little bit nervous, but even if he plays, the Rams are much better. They should get it done.
Yeah, the Rams better get it done. And yeah, I mean, that's a perfect time to really transition into where we went in week 8 as far as the spread picks. Obviously, the records are above. You jump back into first place, 52, 47, and 1. Me and John both sit at 48, 51, and 1. So it's still, everything's close. Like we're all rolling Cardinals. I believe, John went with the Jets. I kind of initially picked the Jets, but then I was like Mike White starting. Like I'm not picking the Jets. I'm not about to get screwed on the Jets train. Yeah, I went with the Dolphins plus 14. I just think division game. Tua is going to have something to kind of come out and play. 4, with all the rumors that are swirling, he might want to come out and say, screw you, Flores. Like, you want to trade me? Like, here we go. Let's just one of those division games. I don't know. I mean, anything that you love, anything that you kind of hated when you were making the picks this week?
Ones that I loved, I like the Chargers -5 and Jaguars plus 3.5. I think is pretty interesting, actually. I think they'll actually be able to cover, maybe even get the victory. I got a question for you. I see we all took Niners -4. No one's got faith in the Bears. I think that's reasonable. Falcons, Panthers. You took Panthers plus 3. And then the other one, another 3-point spread, Washington, Broncos. I thought both of those were pretty close. I kind of had a trouble picking between both of those games. And we went opposite for both of those.
Yeah, I went Broncos just because they're at home, and Washington's defense, they blow. Like, it's simple as that. I just think, the Broncos will kind of get it back together at home. Washington's defense doesn't really pose that big of a threat, and their offense really honestly isn't that big of a threat. I just don't trust Washington anymore. Like, I'm not riding high on Washington going on the road in Denver. And then Panthers, I don't know, like the Falcons screwed me last week I rolled with them against the Dolphins. It was like 2.5. They win by 2. I just think, I don't know, did the Falcons really have like the defense? I think this is like the perfect time for Sam Darnold to look quite a little bit more confident than he's looked over the past couple of weeks. I don't know. I'm trusting Joe Brady and Matt Rule to kind of dial something up for them to look decent, and maybe their defense get after Matt Ryan, force a turnover or 2 out of him, and really alter that. But yeah, I mean, those were tough ones, to be honest. Like, I could see them going either way. I just kind of went with against the teams that have screwed me in the past.
Yeah, that's fair. Those are both question marks to me. So I just think it was interesting that we went opposite ends there.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I see we all went with the Jags. Yeah, I like the Pete Carroll Seahawks. Done with those guys. We're not rolling with those guys. And maybe Urban Meyer can get a W on U.S. soil. I don't think he's done that yet. Yeah. No, 1-5. Yeah, one London victory. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's really a wrap for today's show. I want to thank you all for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you have any suggestions, as we would love to hear anybody's opinion on how to improve and add to the show. As always, Spotify link will be in the description. And yeah, thanks for listening, and we will see you next Tuesday for the Week 8 recap after this week kind of spirals tonight.